Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm here to do another video review for you. I'm kind of excited to do this video review. This is for a Kickstarter game, but the Kickstarter was like already funded, so it's good to go. And full disclosure, the designer of this game, Robert Burke, is somebody that I consider a friend. If you recognize the name Robert Burke, he's one of my favorite designers, mostly for two games. Well, actually, and then the two games that are major to me anyway. And he's got another one coming out called Draco Mundi that I'm excited to try, but I haven't seen it yet, technically. But Robert Burke designed one of the best kids games out there, in my humble opinion, called Cartoona. It's very whimsical and delightful, and it's one of my daughter's favorite games, and I really can't wait until my son is old enough to grasp it and we can play that game together. If you want to check out that review, it definitely is in my list of reviews. But he also reviewed one of my favorite games from the past year, Battle for Souls, which I think is one of the best two-player card games out there. And both, and beautiful artwork, wonderful gameplay. So highly recommended as far as that goes. But I was cool enough that I actually ran into Robert Burke at Gen Con last year. I was hanging out in the Tasty Minstrel Games demo area, and name dropping or whatever. I should have a bell. Ding. But no, and then I turned around and there was this guy, and he was holding this, like a game box, looked like this, and he happened to mention, I think he mentioned Battle for Souls, and he was talking about it, and I turned around and I said, "Are you Robert Burke?" And he was like, "I am." And like, I had talked to the guy several times via email and instant messaging and things like that, but I never like met him. So it was really cool that I got to meet him. I was kind of sad I couldn't have him sign my like Cartoona box or anything like that. But it was super cool to meet him. We talked, and he told me about this game that he had in his hand. I didn't get to play it at Gen Con, but he kind of sold me on it right there, due to the fact that like it is a bluffing negotiation, player interaction game in the same style of like a lot of the bluffing games that have come out lately. Things like the game that reminds me the most of is a game called Coup, which I did a review of a while back, which has gone on and had multiple expansions and whatever, and I've never really gone into that. I have the original base game with the original art of Coup, and I think the game is amazing, just that, and like with the two cards, and you pretend, oh, I'm the Duke, or I'm the assassin, and things like that, and so you get to pretend, and like people have to basically call you out on it, and then if they're wrong, they can get knocked out of the game. And that's kind of the same mechanism that this game has. You'll get two cards to start with. You can end up with more, but that have like a role on them, like a spy, or a member of the French Resistance, or an art dealer. And you will have these two cards in your hand like this. And when it's your turn, you will say, I'm an art dealer, and I'm going to take 3 intel. Intel is the money of the game, basically. I'm going to take 3 intel from the pool. And then you do that, and then the next person, basically everybody at the table, then has the option of challenging you, and they can say, really, I don't believe you're the art dealer, let's see it. And if you're right, they don't have it, that person then has to give you, they don't get to do their action, and then they have to give you half of the intel that they have rounded up. And then you get that reward, basically, half their resources. But if you're wrong in challenging them, then you have to give them half of your intel. And so, and intel, basically, what good is intel? Well, the whole game, the idea of the game is that each person is trying to claim these paintings. The theme of the game is that it's World War II. Artwork has been stolen from Paris and museums and what have you, and maybe it's it's supposedly theoretically stolen by the Nazis, but people are reclaiming them, and you're not a good guy. you're somebody working in the black market, and you're trying to get a hold of these super expensive paintings so that you can then have them for your own personal fortune, or sell them for money or whatever. You're kind of being a war profiteer, if you will. And so And the game ends once you get $1 million worth of paintings in your hand. Now the paintings are both they are like real, and so like they are like the true painting, or they could be one that's a forgery. And if you get a forgery, obviously that's not good because they're not going to count for you. But there's also ways you can get like a forged document that when you use this and you use it with a forged painting, a forged painting, then the value basically be able to pass it off as being real. And so there's a lot of that going on as well. So I've kind of got a little bit into the explanation of how to play the game. So I'm going to now actually show how to play the game. It shouldn't take too long. And then we'll come back here like we always do, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the game and why I have been playing this with my buddies. So there you go, Operation Faust. Let's show you how to play. Okay, I've gone ahead and set up a game of Operation Faust. Now this is a game that's going to be very easy for me to show you how to play, but it definitely is a game that has a lot more to it as far as the actual game itself. It's one of those wonderful games where the rules themselves are easy to learn and pick up, but the actual layers of the game and nuances grow as you play the game, and you realize that you're not really playing the game itself, you're playing the other people that you're playing the game against. So good old games with lots of interaction. Love them. But anyway, so what you see is a prototype, very nice prototype that Robert gave me. So the game might change and look a little bit different when it is published. But anyway, so these are art cards. You can't see the other side, and you put out 4 of them like so. Those are secret, if you will. Now, this is the plot cards. Those are the cards that are actually going to be the ones that give you your abilities. And those are the cards that you can draw 2 of. This is the intel tokens. The stars are how much intel each one is worth. You begin the game with 5 intel, so you can just like take 2 1s and a 3, so you have 5, because you'll be changing them out and what have you. And then these are the forged document cards. This game is for 3 to 8 people, and so you have 1 forged document card per person that is playing in the game. So, like if this is an 8-person game, there's 8 of those cards that are available. Now, that doesn't mean that each person gets one. It just means that there are 8 of those cards, and if you manage to get more than 1, you get more than 1. So, to begin the game, each person will get 2 of these cards. I'm not going to deal any of the cards because I have taken 1 of each card, and I have them in my hand here. I'm just going to show you what each of those cards do. Now, the whole goal of the game is to get $1 million worth of either real paintings or paintings that are forgeries that you can pass off as being real because of the fact that you have a forged document to back it up. Now, each person will get one of these cool player aids. I think every game should be forced to have a player aid that's as good as this one. It tells you exactly what you can do as far as the action goes, and it tells you exactly what each of the cards can do as well. On your turn, you get to take an action. So you'll recruit, you pay 4 intel to the pool, and you take 1 new plot card, so you just get another card for your hand. Recover art, you pay 10 intel to the pool and take 1 art card from the art pile or the art cache. That would be like from the pile, the deck, if you will. Forge, pay 3 intel to the pool and take 1 forged document card from the pool. And then plot, claim 1 of the below plot cards and execute its hand or table ability. Now, when it says the hand or table ability, you will see like on this card, the Allies card. The number over here tells you that there are 2 of these cards in the deck. So if you have one, there's like 1 other one out there. And so if like 2 people say they have them, obviously one of them's lying. That's like one of those like little player knowledge type things. But anyway, so this is the hand icon, meaning that you keep this card in your hand and you say, I'm going to say I have Allies. And it says take 3 intel from the pool. You ignore the double agent and the art dealer. So this is a card that if somebody tries to use the art dealer or double agent on you, can say, well, no, I have Allies, so you can't use that on me. And if you use this ability on the card, look at all the cards held by another player and confiscate 1 forgery. So if somebody's got a bunch of art in their hand, you can lay this down, and you lay it down like this. You don't ever lay it face up. You lay it down, and you say, I have Allies, and I'm confiscating all of your items. Now, the reason why you don't show it face up is because you can bluff in this game. The bluffing is pretty much this whole game. It's being able to convince other people that you have things that that you don't really have. So, because if all you ever did was just take the actions of the 2 cards you have or the more cards that you draw, you're going to lose. I mean, I guess you could possibly win if everybody else is playing really poorly, but you're going to end up fibbing at some point, or you should anyway. So if you get called out on it, so like I said I have allies or whatever, and like let's say I didn't have allies, I had these 2, and I said okay, and I'm gonna take 3 intel from there, and somebody says no, you don't have allies, show me allies, and I can be like well, I can't show you allies. Now technically if you have the card but you don't want to show it, you can choose to not show it. But if you're called out on a challenge and you don't have the card that you say that you have, at that point you have to give the person that called you out on it, because they guessed correctly, you give them half of your intel rounded up. So if you had 5 intel, you give them 3. Pretty simple, right? If you have the card, so like let's say I say, I have allies, and somebody calls me out on it and says, no, you don't have allies, and I can say, yeah, I do, and I can show it to them, and now that person has to give me half of their intel rounded up. Now, Allies is a very good card, and this is where kind of that whole thing was like where you say, yeah, you're right, I don't have it. And because you don't want to actually show the card. Because when you show the card, you have to discard it to the side. Now, you discard them face down because you want to keep the player knowledge that's visible to a minimum. So you have to kind of remember that like an Allies card was discarded. And so you put it off to the side, but you don't put it, you put it like in a different way so people can tell which one is the discard pile. Now, when you put a card down, like let's say, you say I have the double agent, and so you can say steal 3 intel from any one player is the one in the hand, but secretly look at 1 art card from the art pile or held by another player if it's a degenerate, and that's just something you will say on the actual art, confiscate it. So you could say, I have a double agent, and I'm going to look at this card, and if it's a degenerate card, then I'm going to take it. Now somebody could challenge you on that one. Now, if you have the card face down, and you say, well, that's what it is, and somebody calls you out on it, once again, you can choose to, this would be kind of silly. You reveal it, and then you can show that you have it, and then you can go ahead, you will discard it, because you're going to discard the card anyway. When you put it face down, you end up discarding it anyway. So you show it, and then you can take that, and then you can still do your action. You can take the intel. Now, once again, if you put a card down that isn't what you have, then you show that you have it. You'd have to give up your intel and put it in the discard. Now, if you put this art dealer down and said this was, a double agent, and nobody challenged you, you just slide it over there like that. For all they know, it is a double agent, and they think that it is a double agent in the discard. And once more, that's like player knowledge. You know what you put down there, but nobody else does. So some of the other things, you ever wonder, well, how am I ever going to find out what any of this stuff is? Well, like double agent, steal 3 intel from any one player. Secretly look at 1 art card. That's the confiscate one. But here you go. I forgot this one. So art dealer, you can trade any art card you hold for a random art card held by another player. So you pick one and you give it to them. So now you know what's in somebody's hand when you do that. Remember, if you have a spy, you see, you look at any 2 cards in the art cache. You can just say, I have a spy, and I'm going to look there and see there's lots of spies. So a lot of people might buy into it, even if you don't have one. So it's something you can do a lot of and get away with it for a while. Or you can receive a -3 intel art discount, or take 3 intel from the pool for every spy you table. So in that case, if you had more than one table, more than one spy you can table, you could take more intel from the pool, or get a -3 art discount. Sure, so normally they cost 10, but it would cost less if you put one on the table. Now the last card is kind of interesting. It is the French Resistance card. Notice how there's 11 of these. And you say, take 2 intel from the pool for every French Resistance member card you hold. So if you had like these 3 cards, 2 French Resistance and a spy, you could say, I'm going to do French Resistance, and I have 2 French Resistance, so I'm going to take 4 intel from the deck. Now you could say, I have 3 French Resistance. I'm going to take that. And once again, people can call you out on your bluff for the number, not just the card itself that you have. And now obviously the same, draw 2 new plot cards and then discard any 1 plot card from your hand. And so that's a really good, French Resistance is a really good ability to get more cards and cards that you want in your hand. So all this does, all those cards rolling around that you either have or don't have, are going to allow you to look at these cards. I'm going to just turn them face up so you can see. So like a degenerate, and then a forgery, and and a real actual painting, if you will. And so now the forgery isn't worth anything. It's worth nothing unless you get a forged document to make it actually worth something. And, you know, these are actually worth... The degenerate doesn't mean it's worth anything less. It doesn't depreciate in value or anything. It just has that descriptor, so people can, like, the card that allows you to look for the double agent, that secret look at an art card. If it's a degenerate, you can take it. And so it's like, that's why that descriptor is on there. And there's even, I believe, if I remember, yeah, there is one, yeah, here we go. There's one painting that is both a forgery and a degenerate. So it would actually be, both of those. And so you can see, yeah, and these are actually like paintings. And so these are actually, I actually really like the artwork as far as, and then I did like this one, the courtyard of the old residency in Munich. This is a painting by Adolf Hitler in forgery, and it's worth $0. So, you know, there's things in there like that. But you know, and Mona Lisa is like obviously the big one because it's worth, and then this one's worth more than anything else. It's worth a cool $500,000. But the game is played in turns, one after the other, until one person manages to get $1 million worth of paintings, and as soon as that happens, they declare it, they show, and they win the game. There's no like everybody gets one last turn or anything like that. You just, the game ends at that point. So, all right, well there you go. That is how to play Operation Faust. Let me tell you exactly what I think about the game in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Okay, there we go. Cool. So that's how you play the game. So, if you've played Coup, you can see then why I said it reminds me of that, because the same base mechanism is there, but they've taken what Coup is and they've done a couple of things. One, they've taken away the player elimination factor. One thing about Coup, well, the good thing about Coup was it was fast, but the thing was with Coup, you could get knocked out. I mean, basically in 2 rounds, you can get knocked out. Somebody, you know, assassinates you or takes you out of the game, or like, you accuse somebody incorrectly, and so, you know, it's just, the game can be over really quickly for you, and then you have to kind of sit there and wait for the game to resolve itself, if you will. Obviously, in this one, you can't be knocked out. I mean, you can get hammered on a little bit, but, you know, like, you're always going to have at least, you know, 2 of these cards in your hand at any one time, you know, so you never have to worry about, you know, being in a situation where, you know, you just can't do anything, or you just got to sit back and watch the rest of the people play. Now, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like I don't like, I think this game is, like, vastly superior to Coup or anything like that, and in a lot of ways, in my opinion, it is, just because of the fact that this theme is actually something I understand. And I never really felt when I played Coup that I really was a member of the Italian elite, and I was using my, I was an Italian noble and using my influence over these people of the court and what have you to, like, get these powers. No, I was just a card game with kind of a loosely based theme, and that's the way it felt. This one, it actually kind of feels, with the whole cards and everything, with the art dealers and things like that, it really does kind of feel like that the whole process of, like, reclaiming the lost treasures. And I've always kind of dug, I forget the name of the movie now, and I'm not going to be able to remember it, with, like, Bill Murray and John Goodman, and it didn't really do well in the movie theater. It didn't get received well, but I mean, I always want to check that out. I love the idea of that, of, like, you know, these paintings that were, you know, masterpieces that were, like, stolen and hidden during World War II, and they had to go and reclaim them. And in kind of the same vein, I've always enjoyed Kelly's Heroes as well. I mean, you know, what's up with the negative waves, man? I've always enjoyed that movie too, and that was kind of the same thing. You know, it's like stolen gold bullion, you know, being protected and hidden, and these guys going behind enemy lines and what have you to, like, sneak off with the treasure. And I kind of like, I dig that idea. You know, the weird, you know, the war is going on, but that's just the setting. It's you know, and the action is occurring in, you know, in the backdrop, if you will. And so I kind of like that. The thing that I really enjoyed about the game, it actually reminded me a great deal, and I can't remember the name of this game to save my life, and I'm sure somebody will post after seeing this video, maybe they'll remind me, but I used to have a dude that lived across the street when I was young, I mean, like grade school young, and his name was Richard, and his mom and my mom were really good friends, and I would go over to his house and we would play board games all the time, and he had the quintessential like awesome cupboard of board games, and and I just think about like I can picture it, and I can see all like I mean he had Battle Cry, and like I remember me trying to understand Battle Cry way back in the day, and things like that, and so it was one of those things where he had a game that was about art dealers, and it was about trying to pass off there was auctions and what have you, and you would try to pass off forgeries to be, like the true like masters and what have you. And for the life of me, I can't. I think about the game constantly. I remember having a blast playing it, but I can't remember it to save my life. And so, in a weird way, this game kind of took a game that I love, Coup, and it reminded me of this old game that I used to play all the time. Like, and like I said, we're talking like when I was 9 or 10 years old. So we're going back 3 decades, and and so it kind of and it might be rose-colored glasses, kind of looking back in the past, and maybe the game kind of sucked. I have no idea, but my memories of it were very fond, and I got Kindles of that. I had like these little weird snapshots of memories going off and behind my brain as I played this, and it rekindled those memories, and so. And it's a tribute to the game. I mean, it was probably not like the point of the game in any way, shape, or form. And for you watching this video at home, that was probably not going to mean anything either. So I do apologize for that. But I think it's a testament to the mechanism and the gameplay of the game, because this is a game where the actual play of the game is very simple. You look at your cards, you figure out what you can, possibly lie about, what you can possibly fib about, maybe extend the truth, like the French resistance cards. It's like you only have 3, but you really would like to say you have 4, and you're going to try to convince somebody that you have all 4. And it's like trying to retain the knowledge or whatever of what other people have said before, what they may have lied about before, what they're going to try to get away with now. And so there's that going on. And one of the things that I even though I loved Coup, I did think that it was, because of the counting cards element of that was way too easy, because of the fact that as cards got revealed, it got easier and easier to figure it out. And because of the number of cards that you have here, 4 art dealers, 11 French resistance, I mean, only 2 allies, but there's 6 spies and things like that, it's pretty easy to bluff. And it isn't so easy to lock somebody down as far as what they have or have not, and so it really takes some stones, to call somebody out and say, I don't think you have that, because there's always a really good chance you have. Now, some people might say that that's a detraction a little bit, but actually, I think after you play the game and after you kind of cycle through it a few times, you start actually seeing. And the game kind of like adopts its own flavor, if you will. And it's one of those things where you start picking up nuances of the people around you. I mean, this is definitely a game you play 2 or 3 times in one session. I mean, you play it once, okay, I won, let's play again. And you start picking up on play styles, you start picking up on body language, things like that. And me, being like a pretty hardcore poker player, I haven't played poker in a while now. I mean, it's been a few months or whatever, but, like 5-6 years ago, I used to play poker 3-4 times a week, and I played a lot of it, and I started to learn the body language of the people that I played with and learn their play styles and what have you, and this game kind of has that same thing, and it appeals to me. And there's nothing better than having like a nice stone cold bluff and then convincing somebody not to call you, just like basically gambling. It's like, yeah, I'm going to use the spy action. I don't think you have the spy. Are you challenging me? It's like, because I'm going to take your I'm going to take your intel right now. If you're going to, well, I didn't say I was challenging you. Okay, well, I mean, let me know so I can show you my spy and I can take your money, because I really I need that intel. So just go ahead and say it. And then there's somebody else, yeah, you should go ahead. He's obviously lying. Go ahead. And the other person's like, well, if you think he's lying, you go ahead and say it. It's like, I don't think it, So there's a lot of that going on in the game, which is actually, highly enjoyable. And this is a game where it's one of those really fun games where the the actual learning to play is pretty quick, but the actual game within the game really makes the enjoyment and the game itself blossom and become more than just the cards and just the mechanism and just the gameplay, if you will. And it's an excellent game for that. I know of several people like that I only get to see at conventions and things like that, that I know that I'm going to love playing this game with. And you know, if you're watching this and you know you're my buddies, you know who you are. So so yeah, there you go. So Operation Faust, I highly recommend it for anybody that enjoys a good bluffing, a good lie through your teeth to your best friends type of game. And also, I mean, it isn't all about lying. It's about it's clever use of the cards and clever use of what you have, and when you want to have a card in your hand, and when it's best to discard it as well and use the other ability. And so there's a wonderful thing there, and there's nothing better. Seriously, there's nothing better than bluffing and lying through your teeth and like I said, and convincing everybody that you know, have something you don't. But the one thing that is better is when you can be meek and show weakness and get people to buy into that, then challenge you, and they say, "There's absolutely no way that you have a spy," and you go, "Oh, really? Spy? Give me your intel." And that is the moment of the game that I enjoy probably the absolute most. So there you go. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions about Operation Faust, please ask away, and I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. And until next time, this was the Undead Viking telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye now.